Coming to get you, Bobber.
The Hitcher is a 2007 horror movie directed by Dave Meyers, and it stars Sean Bean, Sophia Bush and Zachary Knighton. Hi guys, as this is an older movie, and as usual this is going to be a spoiler review. A serial killer pins his crimes on two college students who gave him a ride. This is a bit of a random one. I just watched The Hitcher on a whim. I didn't see it for maybe 10 years or so, and I decided, you know what? It was an okay movie from what I remember. I'm going to watch it again. And this came from Platinum Dunes. They were the go-to company for horror remakes during the noughties. The original Hitcher from 1986, that's one of the horror movies that just doesn't age at all, and that's a good thing. I watched lots of mid to late 80s horror movies that age poorly, to the point where I can't even watch them again. But The Hitcher, for some reason, it ages like fine wine. So it's going to be hard to top. Also, this is a remake that came just 21 years after the original. That's quite a short time for an American to an American remake. Usually they wait 30-40 years or so for a remake, until Cabin Fever, of course, came out a few years ago. I love Rutger Hauer in the original, so it's going to be hard to top his performance as the Hitcher, but I think the acting in this movie was solid. Sean Bean as John Ryder, he was a great choice. He can be very scary at times as a bad guy, and he was definitely really good in this. I also liked the lack of backstory for Grace and Jim. We're fed little bits of story here and there, but you don't get enough to know their full backgrounds, but that's okay, I didn't mind that. I think they were also believable as a couple. They had good chemistry. I think their chemistry really shined when things went sideways. It was a short movie as well. I think it was about an hour and 23 minutes long or so, and that includes the credits, so the pacing had to be quick. The pacing had to be good as well, and I think it was. We had a quick build-up with the build-up of the characters, which we didn't get a lot of, which was good. And then I think it just went straight into it. We've established that John Ryder was a bad guy straight from the beginning. I had a feeling when I was watching it for the first time that when we first introduced to John Ryder and he asked for a lift from Grace and Jim, I thought we were going to get to and fro for a little while, but as soon as he got in that car, that's when all the mayhem started. So it was a really quick build-up, and then from the moment we find out that he's the bad guy, or from the moment they find out he's the bad guy, it's just non-stop. Looking back on it and even watching it again, I think my only issue would be the ending. It felt like it was like two endings. There was an ending where we had Jim unfortunately getting killed at the truck, just similar to what happened in the original movie. And you would think that that would be the end of the movie. And if the movie ended at that point, I would be satisfied. And with an ending like that, how would we end it? Well, one of two ways. Either kill John Ryder there and then, that's satisfying enough, or capture him and end the movie there. And although we don't know what happens to him, I don't mind that. I like the ambiguous endings. Did they kill him? Did they jail him? Did they get away? We just don't know. That would have set up sequels as well, because obviously the original had sequels. So if they ended it like that, I wouldn't mind. But I felt like after they ended it at that point and then went into the jail and then he gets transported in the truck, I thought, we're getting an after credit scene sort of thing, and it didn't sit really well with me. I thought it was okay. I think it was good action, but it took away the horror element of it. It went from being an action horror just to an action movie, something like Man on Fire. So it didn't really fit the story, but I think they maybe had to do that to extend the runtime a little bit. But if I had to pick up any nitpicks for myself, I would say that that was probably the worst part of the movie, even though that wasn't really bad. Was it as good as the original? Absolutely not. The original was fantastic, but that doesn't mean this movie was bad just because the original is amazing. This wasn't bad at all, and in fact it was pretty good. Before I seen this movie for the first time, it got really bad reviews, terrible reviews. But I think it's because The Hitcher came out in 2007 in January, so January's not a good month. And it came out at a time where remakes were coming thick and fast. And when remakes were coming out back then, people automatically hated them, whether they'd seen them or not. Whereas me, I actually don't mind remakes. I really like remakes. Some remakes are better than the originals, and vice versa. But I always go into a remake with a fresh mind, knowing that they're giving us their own take. And although this movie was very similar to the original, I think it went on its own path as well, and I think it achieved what it tried to achieve, and that's why I liked it. So have any of you guys seen the remake of The Hitcher? As always guys, I want to know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you like it better than the original. It's highly unlikely, but whether you do or whether you don't, I'd always like to hear your thoughts anyway, what you liked about it and what you maybe didn't like about it. And as always guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, I'll see you soon, bye bye.